Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CEO Rosewood Hotel Group, Sonia Cheng, in discussion with Skift Asia editor, Raini Hamdi.
Good morning, everyone. Sonia, thank you for being here. Really good to see you. I remember my first meeting with you, that was in 2010.
Yeah.
And we spoke about your $1.1 billion effort to revive your family's hotel business. At the time, it was called Newell Hospitality, and establish a global hospitality company. Obviously, you've spent the money well, bought Rosewood, transformed the brand, and invested in your own properties, like the one in Beijing, and of course the latest one that opened, Hong Kong. Congratulations, that's homecoming for you. I get asked sometimes, the question that I get asked is, are you a property owner or a brand owner and operator?
We are a company, we are a brand owner and operator. But what differentiates us as a hotel company is that we invest in our properties as well, which gives a differentiation to a lot of different hotel management companies, where we actually use our capital to back initial properties to realize our vision. I think that's really important, to be able to control your brand standards, to be able to control what the vision of the brand is initially. And now we have established some of the successful properties like Beijing, like London, like in Hong Kong. We're in a better position to market this brand and attract a lot of owners and developers to want this brand to be in their developments and in cities around the world. So we've transitioned from purely a property owner to a brand owner and operator, and I think that's our differentiation.
Could I just ask, what percentage of the hotels in the portfolio fully owned and partially owned, and what's the percentage for management contracts?
Actually, it's a minority. So currently, with expansion of the group, about a third of it we own ourselves because of family flagship projects like in Hong Kong and in Beijing or London. But all our pipeline, majority of our pipeline actually are management contracts around the world.
And it's a huge pipeline. How many in the audience know that there are actually 50 Rosewood hotels that are opening in the next few years? Okay, well, it is a lot. How is it that you're able to scale a luxury brand so rapidly?
So if you look at the pipeline, it seems daunting, but actually our pipeline is growing and is pacing well for the next 5 years. So we're unlike some of the bigger hotel companies where they're opening, hotels every day or hundreds of hotels every month. We actually are not doing that. We are selectively choosing our cities, and we're opening very thoroughly and selectively a few home openings a year for the Rosewood brand. And that allows us to really thoughtfully curate the hotels to make sure that the Rosewood DNA is ingrained in each of the hotel, the sense of place DNA. And I think that I personally am very passionate about design. I'm very passionate about branding. So I've spent a lot of time working with my team, working with the owners, and working with all the architects and designers to ensure that every property that we create really it truly is representing the location, is celebrating the culture, and it differentiates from city to city while there's a common thread of a Rosewood quality across. Because I think the last thing that the luxury consumers want nowadays is a cookie cutter experience. They don't want the sameness in every city they see. They want to discover, and I think it's well worth our time to spend our energy and resources in it. And I think the second thing is that we do a great job hiring great people. And there are a lot of talents in the industry that is passionate about curating and creating, and it's about identifying those talents and retaining them and developing them in the company. And I think we're lucky that we have a very strong management team, leadership team, as well as the hotel team, where it's important for them to carry that seed and carry that DNA across each property to ensure that bespoke approach goes in every single property.
Right, but you have 21 hotels that are coming in the pipeline. I'm just wondering, how are you able to be bespoke when you're opening 21 hotels and in far-flung destinations from Costa Rica?
Yeah, so like I said, it's about the pace, right? So
Okay.
compared to a lot of other companies, we're not it's actually not as fast, but it's all relative. And I think that it's all about spending the time researching the market. And if you look at opening 3 hotels a year versus 100 hotels a year, actually the number is not that big, and you're actually able to spend the time to make it bespoke.
So do you personally look after, or the design?
Yes, so almost every property, I personally will be very involved in crafting the vision of that property, because I think the industry evolves so quickly. There are always hotels popping here up whether it's boutique hotels, independent hotels, or new brands coming in. So you have to be at the forefront of the industry, and you always have to think about what travelers are looking for. And I think it's not just the travelers, but at the same time, are the people that live in that city. So what's great with Rosewood is that we create a destination not just for travelers to come to our hotel to stay, but really a gathering place for the city, for the people. So you take, when we opened Rosewood Beijing, we were an unknown brand in China. It was our first hotel in China. We were completely unknown in Asia, and there was skepticism whether we would be successful. But because of the way we craft the hotel, the way we deliver our innovative F&B experience, now, in 4 years since it's open, it has become, the #1 RevPAR in the city, and has become a destination for the locals, whether it's events, whether they want to come meet someone, whether they want to social, as well as travelers. And we did the same. We replicate that same model in London and Paris, and now in Hong Kong, trying to create a destination and a gathering place for the city. And I think that is what the new generation of travelers are looking for. They want to connect with the locals, and it's very important to create a community rather than just stale space in hotel.
Right, right. You were talking about the DNA of Rosewood. I'm just wondering how much that's changed since you bought it in 2011.
That hasn't changed. I think the DNA of a sense of place remains, and it's a core fundamental philosophy of our company for the brand. And I think what has we've evolved into is defining what sense of place is. And I think in the past, sense of place to a lot of people is just about the design has to reflect the locale, put some local art on the wall, and then that's the sense of place. But to us, sense of place is very different. It's a much more holistic experience. So you take Rosewood Hong Kong, for example. We don't create an Asian design and say that's a sense of place of Hong Kong. We actually celebrate the talents of Hong Kong and explaining a sense of place through that. So, for example, the uniforms that we have in the hotel, it's not your typical uniform. We call it wardrobes. We actually collaborate with a series of local up-and-coming fashion designers to do all of our uniforms. And with that collaboration, each of that designer actually has, since we've opened, has tripled their revenue in their stores. We deliver our F&B experience, not just say, let's just have an Italian restaurant, let's just have a French restaurant, because that's what hoteliers think people want, but actually they don't. So we, in our Chinese restaurant, instead of a very formal Cantonese dining like every other hotel, what we did is we put in a very local Shinde cuisine, which is actually my hometown, my grandfather's hometown in China, and they're famous for their culinary. And we're in a couple of months, we're going to put in an Indian restaurant, because there's a very, very strong Indian community in Kowloon, and Indian food is something that is very popular in Hong Kong, for example. In Rosewood, Beijing, instead of doing some of the most expected cuisine, we put in a hot pot restaurant, and it's actually one of the most popular space for the city itself.
Right, yeah. I was just thinking maybe we could show a few slides of Rosewood. Can we call, this is in Paris, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and let's look at Hong Kong, which is said to be the most complete expression of your vision for Rosewood. Are there any new innovations in Hong Kong since it's your flagship?
So it's the most complete expression because it actually encompasses all the brand signatures of the brand. So from innovative F&B experience to our first urban outpost for Asaya, our new wellness concept, to, as I said, the way we express a sense of place is throughout the entire hotel, whether it's working with different artists, working with different talents in Hong Kong to celebrate the city itself. The F&B concepts there, like whether it's the bar, whether it's Chinese restaurant now, it's become a gathering place for the city. We also have one of the largest pillarless ballroom in the city with a first wedding garden that Hong Kong would have, and another 6 outdoor F&B space with outdoor experience. In the hotel that's opening up in a couple of months. I think the great thing with this hotel is that the harbor is everything for Hong Kong. And what we did is that we basically maximized the potential of integrating the harbor into the hotel. So we have the largest, as you can see, facade, the window facade to help to enable all our customers to enjoy the harbor in every single room. So 80% of our room has a harbor view, which other hotels do not have. And then on top of that, I think on the personal front, it's a very significant project for us and the family, is because this sits on a site that used to be the New World Center in Hong Kong. A New World Center in the 80s was a very significant location for the residents of Hong Kong.
Right.
Many people in Hong Kong actually has a lot of memories in New World Center, and they grew up with New World Center. And then so 10 years ago, we redeveloped the site, and we want this to be the destination for the future residents of Hong Kong as well as our travelers.
Right. But at the same location, I can also think of at least 4 other Asian-owned luxury hotels. I mean, you have Peninsula, Gore Capital's region that's opening, Shangri-La, Langham. I just wonder, are Asian brands a bigger competition for you now than the likes of Four Seasons or Ritz-Carlton?
I think all brands are a competition of some sort. They all have their own quality, but I wouldn't categorize our brand, our Rosewood brand, as an Asian brand. Actually, Rosewood started in Dallas, so it was an American brand to start with 30 years ago. And since we've acquired Rosewood, the potential was to make an American brand truly an international global brand. Because of our parent group and affinity to Asia, it was a perfect complement to Rosewood, which was an American brand to start with, and making it a global brand. And Asia is a very important market for us, like any other global brands. Since we've acquired, now Asia is a third of our pipeline and our network. And I think that we, unlike some of the Asian brands where they put Asian philosophy in their design and make it a very strong kind of design DNA, we don't do that because our DNA is a sense of place. So, which means every city will be different. So that Asian element will happen if it's in the right city in an Asian location. So I think that's the main differentiation with other Asian brands. We just happen to be headquartered in Asia.
Okay, let's talk about your new brand, COS. Why is it needed?
So we're very excited about this brand cause because, as I said, as a company, we are all about developing innovative, irreplaceable brands. That's our vision. We will always want to be at the forefront of the industry. We want to be looking ahead and not delivering stale experience. And as you look at our travelers or consumers in general, the way they behave, we don't work in offices anymore. We work in coffee shops or cafes or co-working spaces. There's virtual offices with the technology being advancing. You meet through video conference. You meet through different means as well. So nowadays the consumers, what they're looking for is community. They want to be connected. And that's why there's a rise of co-working offices. There's a rise of social clubs, rise of lifestyle hotels. But what we realize is that there's a wide space in the market of connecting all of these in one space, a cross between co-working, social club, business hotel, lifestyle hotel. And I think that's cost is the answer to that. And we look at a hotel space, traditionally, it's sectioned off as, this is the lobby, this is the ballroom, this is a coffee shop. It's very compartmentalized. And I think that we don't maximize the real estate potential, the revenue potential of that space. And if you are able to build a hotel where you're able to serve the travelers as well as your local community and become the ecosystem of one's life in general, they become their office, become their social gathering hub, become the venue where they address your well-being, wellness needs at the same time. Then I think that you can really transform that hotel business model, and I think that that's why we're so excited about COS.
That's very interesting because it doesn't sound like a hotel.
Yes, and I think that's the next generation. Hotel should not be fixed in this box of how we define hotel today. I think that hotel could be a cross of all these components in one.
So it's a question of connecting.
Exactly, and I think that some of the more independent hotels or boutique hotels are very successful being able to create that. But actually, larger hotel companies, because of I guess sheer size of the companies, it's harder to create a community. And I think that with us and just our culture in a company, and the way we just always want to push boundaries and want to be catering to the needs of the all evolving consumers, we're able to do that.
Okay. This brand was first announced in December 2017, right? So it's been like 1.5 years. What stage is it in, and when will we see the first COS properties?
So we're piloting some concepts ourselves in China, and we are working very hard in curating the brand experience, because when we launch, we do want to make sure that it's a complete expression of the brand. And we also we will be launching in flagship locations as well. So we're taking the time to make sure that we get it right. I mean, our Rosewood flagships in Beijing or in Hong Kong, it took 8 years in the making. And I think that we are not creating a brand just to plant flags and add a number to our portfolio. We're doing it because we do see an opportunity in the space and we don't want to get it right.
Okay. What about your two other brands, Penta Hotels and New World Hotels? Buying Rosewood, good idea. Buying Penta Hotels, was that also a good idea? And because we're not really hearing a lot about it and a lot about New World Hotels, are you just focusing on Rosewood and COS?
No, we focus across on 4 brands, and different brands have a different strategy. So I think Penta is an exciting brand to me because it's in the affordable sector, and it's catering the needs of travelers who are looking for convenience, looking for informality, and I think that there is a potential of brands like Penta around the world. A New World, New World brand, because of the name itself. It resonates a lot. It's very strong as a brand in China. Everyone in China knows New World, and as well as Southeast Asia as well. So we're focusing on making New World a regional brand, and because of the Chinese market and how it's growing as an outbound market, New World as a brand has become much more popular to a lot of owners and developers that are looking for a solid, safe kind of business hotel that has a strong affinity to China. So that's our angle on New World Hotel.
Right. So you will have at least 100 hotels across 4 brands, I think, in the next few years. What's your ambition now?
So I think different brands, we have different strategies. So for Rosewood, it's continuing to evolve that brand, continue to solidify our brand positioning, as well as evolving our customer experience, our design. We're very focusing on designing our customer relationship management system, because I think that's something that is very important for our consumers. For Rosewood, they're looking for people to recognize them. They're not looking for a loyalty program or points, but a very intuitive way of recognizing that there are the Rosewood regulars, we call them, and Rosewood customers. And for costs, we are focusing on pushing the boundary and making sure that we launch cost successfully as kind of the next generation of hotels. And then we also have a lot of innovative initiatives and brand programs that we're launching, like Asaya, which I'm very passionate about, because I think that wellness is going to be even more important to a lot of our travelers and consumers, and I think that is the next evolution of travel to me. And then we also are, focusing on launching a Rosewood Explorer program, which I think family travel is increasingly important for the next generation. I see myself as kind of the target audience. I have 4 children myself, and I think unlike the last generation where couples travel are more important nowadays, you blend work and pleasure. So there's no, you don't actually say work is work, business trip is business trip, and leisure is leisure anymore. Everything is tagged together. So I haven't spent a vacation with just my husband. All my vacation has been with my children, and I have to blend in with work as well. And I think that is the new generation of how the younger generation would travel. Nowadays, they're much more hands-on. So our focus of developing our family travel program is also an important component for the future.
Okay, there are a few questions here. Let's try the first one, leveraging technology to heighten personalization for hotel guests. How far are we from it? I guess it's a question about how you use technology to personalize.
So I think technology is very important, and if we use technology wisely, it should be able to create much more intuitive service for our hotel guests. But I also think that we have to be cognizant of the receiving ends, that we don't do technology for just technology's sake. It has to be functional, it has to be intuitive, and it has to create a seamless experience for hotel guests. And there are times where I stay in different hotels and there's technologies everywhere in the room and throughout the entire stay. Either you don't use it or it's so difficult to use, and it actually dilutes the experience in the hotel. And at the end of the day, while technology is important, we need to be able to make sure that it serves a certain purpose that would enhance experience. But I think that hotel business is fundamentally about people, particularly in the luxury sector. It is about the personal connection. It is about someone greeting you at the hotel lobby because it's your 10th stay in the hotel, and they call you Miss Cheng. It's not going to be a robot coming out of the hotel and calling you Miss Cheng. I think that's the difference. That will always be true as technology advances.
What's your vision for a loyalty concept that could appeal to the next generation of luxury travelers? Yeah.
Right. So like I said, I think that the next generation of travelers do not want loyalty programs with just points. I think there are a lot of programs out there that are doing that, points and and I think that we need to be able to create a program that recognizes the guests. And need to be able to understand their preferences, and I think that's what they're looking for. And I think that for luxe travelers, it's all about exclusivity. It's all about privileges. It's less about the points. And if we're able to come up with a program that gives those luxe travelers exclusivity, privileges that nobody else can give, then I think that's where you win and differentiate. So, for example, in the luxury space, someone come to Hong Kong, they want to have a private access to, the M+ museum that's about to open, or a ticket to a New York show or a London show, or a private social club that no one can access, but then we can provide. That is something that is actually much more relevant to them and would excite them more than just a points program.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen,
Thank
Sonia
you.
Cheng.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.